And then that's kind of how same kind of thing happened a few years later. But obviously that was the same thing. Stephen come to me and was like, look, because I was still doing my own little raves in these little clubs and still trying to just find my way in the music again. And then he was like, well, we was in the same situation. Ain't got much peas, but I had a link to a club with my friend from school. So she had a link to Coliseum.
Okay.
He had a link to Investor. I was like, yeah. And then, but at that point, I remember I think it was C Deep at that point, where they were booking DJs like Osolande and things like that. Then you had Nick Doe and Leon. They were doing
Viva.
Viva La House, and they were booking Black Coffee.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, yeah, I want to do something like that. And Stephen was like, yeah, I want to do something like that. So naturally, obviously, me and him had done little moves in the grime days from before. So it was easy, and it felt similar to
like distribution and stuff, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it felt similar to the situation in Southend, but with someone that I could more trust, someone was more solid. They ain't got no mental issues going on in the background. Let's call it mental issues. I'm not going to expose them for what they was doing. And yeah, so we did the first Audiowhore, and yeah.
Well, that brings me nicely there. Look, Audiowhore. Let's start with that one. You've touched upon subjects that I do want to get into, but let's just tee that one up nicely. So Audiowhore, when was the first one?
Audiowhore, the first one was in Coliseum, 29th of April, I think that's 2011.
I think that's the year I first saw you again, actually. So I remember seeing you.
It was the same weekend that Prince William got married.
Okay.
So whatever that year, whatever that year was, that was the year. That was the first one.
Okay.
Because I think it was the exact same day.
The first time I saw you again, I was like, that pack went. I was turned up, smashed, and it was 2AD.
Okay.
And you was in there on decks, and I didn't know you was DJing house then.
Yeah. 2AD was a big place. So, yeah. So it must have been 2011.
Yeah. So, you just had the 14th birthday. How does that sound crazy to you, or is it like it feels like it's been 14 long years? How's that?
It definitely doesn't feel like it's been 14 years, but I didn't think when we first started it, I didn't think we'd be doing it in 5 minutes. It was just, just like, yeah, we're gonna try and do this event, lose bare money, and yeah, that's what happened. The first one, I think the first one was just literally the wrong date. Right formula, the wrong date, and that can be a thing.
So when you said you wanted to do the same sort of formula as what Nick Doe and them guys were doing, who did you book for that first one to?
So the first one we had Trumpet Man, and we had The Cur. I Got That Feeling. So we pushed the whole rave around that song, because that was a massive song at the time. We also had Kismet and Fever. We had Nick Doe. I think we had Gavin Peters, maybe. And then we just had me and Stephen, I think. I think that was it. I think that was the lineup.
So then the first one didn't go too well, but you knew you was onto something?
Yeah. Like the next day, the owner, I think his name's Hollisey, is that his name? Of Coliseum, he called us and just basically said, look, you've done your first rave, you've got 643 people. This isn't a failure. As much as you've not made as much money as you wanted to, don't look at this as a failure. Because obviously, we've got an investor, taking out a loan, this, that, and the other, to try and get this over the line. And obviously, it's just a money into a pot that's gone. So that was that, really.
Then what, you went for number 2? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember it. I remember it like it was yesterday. So I remember what was happening. I was working. I never went back to teaching after that. Because
Is this in the shop for your dad still, you saying?
Nah.
Okay.
I was doing some other little bits and bobs. I let my dad kind of get back to it at that point. But I was working, and I was doing. I think I was just doing some any little sales thing, but I was sick at it. So the money was okay, and it was like minimal effort because they just kind of left me to it because I was just always selling.
Yeah, yeah.
So Stevens called me and said, "Look, we need to do it one more time." That's what he said. One more
Remember that
time.
call that was yesterday, innit?
He said, "Let's do it one more time." And I'm thinking, well, I can't afford to take another hit like that again because I'm still paying off this loan, la la la. My son at the time, he was about 3 at that time. Anyway, so he just gone and started doing stuff. He's booked the club. He's booked the club, and then he's booked a few DJs, and that was December 7th. So there was a big gap. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I am not taking this risk. So I've said to another mate of mine, Junior Tips, he's still doing his thing in a whole nother dimension now. He's still doing well. I said to him, look, you can come in on my side for this event.
Okay.
Not in on the business, just on my side.
Yeah.
So that alleviates the cost. So I think I gave him 20%. And obviously he was cool with that. We did that, and obviously that rave sold out. So from it sold out, because we had Ali Love that time.
Okay.
I think that was when Forward Motion first came out. So obviously that's where Stevens probably got the name from. But anyway, so that sold out. Then about 3 weeks later, Bagnall had he had New Year's Eve in 338. So they've come to us and
Like
said,
in House
look,
and Terrace stage, yeah?
yeah, they've
Yeah.
come to us and said, look, you know what? He doesn't want to do it. He's not confident. Do you want to do that? So we've linked up with Femi and Play from Dazed on, back then they were doing Searching for You.
Okay.
And they've said, look, and we just done it together. And within those 3 weeks, we managed to get 2,500 people in there.
So what event was this?
We just called it 2012.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we called it 2012.
Yeah.
It was just any name. We just thought of on the spot.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be 2012. We just called it that,
Yeah,
literally. And yeah, I come up with a formula of how we could get loads of tickets sold in a quick succession, like really early, and we'll make the money on the back end. And it just worked. And that was
What, with like a tier system, like early birds and stuff? Or
Yeah, like we did. I think I was selling. I said, let's just do 200-300 tickets for New Year's Eve with this sick lineup for a tenner, and people just bought them up because New Year's Eve for £10.
Yeah,
and then obviously once people were saying, well, that's what I'm doing, it just kept spiraling.
Yeah.
And then it was gone. And then once we made that kind of money from it, and the club gave us a bonus. Like they've never, no promoter's got a deal like that ever. The kind of deal that they was giving
bar
us.
spend or something?
Yeah, they was giving us. Once you got to 15 grand, every 5 grand we made, they was giving us like 2 bags bonus.
Oh, wow.
So it's unheard of in like promoter history to get them kind of bonuses. They was giving us. So you get to 20 grand, another 2 grand, 25 grand, another 2 grand. Like the bonus tier was insane. So that enabled me and Stephen to really make money to leverage and do stuff. And then they kept giving us that bonus scheme for like, so then we did Siesta. Obviously,
Where is this, sorry?
This is at 338.
338,
Yeah, but obviously it's different owners now.
Yeah.
And then obviously they sold the venue and it's where it is now.
So when they sold the venue, did they not pass you over to the new owners?
They passed us over, but they didn't pass that deal over.
And then did you manage to sustain the same good relationship with the new owners, or?
To a point.
So,
And obviously at that point, we was in a place where we could we had to pick of the bunch of what venues we could use and go. So we kind of, when that situation, when they treated us how they treated us, we just kind of just kept it stepping. There was a lot more options for venues back then.
So with Femi and the Days Boys, then how did you leave it with them after that event? Did you just give them a little cut and they went their way and you guys went your way?
No, we all had. It's a funny story. That's why we've got to rate Stephen. So we had it was me, Versatile, Stephen, Femi, Play was in Corey Johnson's office. Stephen was arguing with them. Obviously, me and Stephen had our portion, they had their portion. Mm-hmm. And Stephen was arguing with them for 4.5 hours over 2%.
What percentage was you on at that point?
I think we was on, Stephen wanted them to have 33%. Stephen wanted them to have 33%,
okay,
and us to have 33 thingy each. But I think Stephen wanted it to go up to 70% for us, and they to get the 30%, something like that.
Yeah. And then did he get it?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, we've got it. Like, obviously, Versatile's my proper friend, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So to me, I was like, it's only 2%. And Stephen was like, well, we've come up with a structure, but this is obviously once it's really moving, innit? Mm-hmm. This conversation's happened. Like, okay, it's moving. So then they just felt like, okay, well, we're doing most of the work, this, that, and the other. And it was just an interesting day.
And what was this 33% in? Just that one event, or?
Yeah, just that one event.
Okay, so then once that event was done, then what happened in terms of you and Femi and Versa? They were doing Searching For You. We was doing Audiowhore, okay. And then obviously we made Siesta. Yeah. So the vision from back then to now, is it much different? The vision for Audiowhore?
The vision for Audiowhore, I feel, is, for me, hasn't changed. No, it's still the same, innit? I always chase the music, the quality of the music.
Which at the moment you're not too happy about?
I don't feel like the music's quality anymore, no.
And we had a big conversation off camera, but so elaborate that on a little bit more, just for people that are watching. Why don't you think the quality is there anymore, or what do you think's lacking? Okay,
to say the quality isn't there, because the production's got better, but there's no songs. So I remember I was having this conversation. I was going to play at, I can't remember what rave it was, but it was in what's that venue that used to be in O2? Matter. Yeah. It was in there, and I was walking with Radford and AR, I think Radford's missus at the time. Mm-hmm. And I referred to the song, I referred to the tracks as songs. And he said, why do you call your music songs? Like, they had a little giggle of it. And to me, it always showed the difference in, you see it as beats or tracks, and I see it as music, like proper songs. And I feel like that's what's missing now. It's very clear that now it's just
tracks.
Yeah. And I feel like that's what's missing. There's no women in there. Women want to go out and sing, and when they're at home, they want to sing, and they want to go to the club and hear the music that they've been singing to at home in a club atmosphere and rave and vibe. And I feel like that's what's missing in that scene now. It's very, a lot of it's drug fueled, so the music is just sounds that they can, get a buzz to. Mm-hmm. That's always been a vibe in dance music. I understand that. Mm-hmm. But I feel like the musical element, the grooves, there's no soul in it. It just sounds very empty.
So then when you look across at the Amra soulful scene, do you feel like that's a complete opposite and they have got songs, or?
They definitely do. And that's why it's flourishing as it is. The quality of the production, I don't think just the average person can think they're going to go spend half an hour and make one of them tunes. It's just not possible. Mm. And I feel you can feel that in the music. It feels it's made in a certain range where it just feels warm. and that's why I feel like.
And does that resonate with the 2012 deep house days? I think?
To a point, I still feel like it's not as, like, if you listen to the Afro back then, I don't think it's like how it is now. It didn't have that same warmth. I think it was still, needed fine tuning. And I think back then, the 2012 times, I think it was an amalgamation of loads of different sounds. It wasn't just deep house, it wasn't just house, it just wasn't tech. It was just all that music, as well as the soulful stuff, all being played in one set. And everyone was just trying to figure it out. And I think that's what was more cool about it back then than now.
So I noticed on the last Audiowhore on the birthday in the Black Shredder, you had, the Pioneer. I think you had Pioneer and Super in there, didn't you?
Yeah.
Does that mean, like, what makes you dip into that scene? Is it because you need people to come to the event, or is it because you want Audiowhore to still have that identity of being in touch with the dance scene in London or surrounding areas?
Obviously, we always started with that. So in any business, you can pivot in it. If things are changing, you change with it to make sure you're aligned with what's popular and what's not. Or generally, you're just going to get left behind.
Yeah. Do you, as promoters and like other promoters, let's just say in London, do you conversate a lot with your, like, I don't know, let's just keep it underground, with your House of Silks, your House Passions and that? Do you stay in touch, or do you just all do your own thing?
I feel like, unfortunately, the way things had gone after COVID, I think everyone just went their own ways.
What is it?
I won't even say everyone. We went this way and they went that way. If that's the realness of it, they kind of just went in their own kind of direction.
Sound-wise or business-wise?
I think there's a lot of politics behind the scenes, and those politics led to people being off lineups, me being off lineups, and yeah, I think everyone to a point won and lost in certain scenarios. Do you know what I mean? I don't think there's any overall winner in people not being unified. Unification always works. I think that's what I'd probably give to Fever and them lot, is they're just unified, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, agreed. So would you say there's a lot? I mean, it's hard because you're both in different lanes. We're just going to say, when you're saying they and you went separate ways. But is there gatekeeping going on in this underground scene, would you say? Or is it just about getting in your own lane and just standing there and creating what you can?
I don't personally think, because I've heard this term loads of times, you're a gatekeeper or this, that. I don't feel like it's true. I think in this scene, how we do business, if you're doing the right stuff, we're gonna book you, because always looking at is what's best for the brand.
Of course.
I don't care what some DJ's doing in regards to their elevation. As far as I'm concerned, I'm doing me regardless. So what they're doing, if they come through or if they don't come through, it's never going to impact on me. So me stopping them does nothing, but me helping them just helps my brand. It's kind of similar to what Wiley used to do with MCs. He never looked at an MC and thought, I'm not bringing them in because if they come in, they're going to take my shine. What he looked at is if I bring them in and they're around me, when they blow up, I blow up again with them. And that's kind of how we see it.